This is the Blairing Out with Eric Blair show, and today I'm pleased to have Jack Grisham, singer of T.S.O.L, on my show today. And you're also running for governor.
Yeah, gubernatorial candidate, Grisham.
Now, how's that been going for you so far?
It's going good. It's fun. I'm having a good time. I mean, I'm learning a lot. I'm getting more and more pissed off every day, but it's been really fun.
What's upsetting you? What are some of the things that upset you?
Well, once you start reading about it, like it's one thing to just say F the government, but once you start really studying the government, it gets you madder and madder,
yeah.
Right? And I realized this time, like, why I stayed out of it for so long, because you just feel just like so helpless in dealing with it. I mean, they got this recall thing. If it was up to me right now, I'd recall them all. I'd recall them all, strip them down into their underwear, lead them out to a public square somewhere and make them get on their knees and beg forgiveness of the citizens of California. I mean, that's how I feel. I'm an angry...
No, that's good. You're still that punk rocker. You're still that punk rocker at heart. Now, since we're talking about being a punk rocker at heart, tell me, let's talk about how T.S.O.L originally formed.
Right. Well, it was just, they were actually a band before I was involved. They were like first they were a 4-piece, then they were a 3-piece, and I had gotten into some trouble, so I split the state for a little bit. And then when I came back, the drummer Todd said, hey, Jack's back, why don't we see if we can get him to sing for us? And then they came over and said, hey, do you want to do it? And I said, yeah, let's do it. And that's kind of how the four of us ended up getting together.
Now, what was going on with music at the time?
Well, at the time, I'd kind of gotten away because I'd gotten in some trouble. I was playing in this band called Vicious Circle, and there was a lot of fights, a lot of violence, so I kind of gotten away from it a little bit. And I think music at the time was real fun. They're still real inventive and really cool. I mean, it was a good time.
Now, how did your first record deal come about?
Well, that's pretty fun. I mean, someone asked us, we knew we were going to get ripped off. The first record we did, we knew we were going to get burned. Like everyone said, hey, he'll burn you, he'll burn you, he'll burn you, but it's a record getting out, right? And we're clueless, we're kids. It's like, yeah, whatever, we don't care. It's just songs. I mean, we never thought there was any money involved in anything. You don't think, I want to be a rock star, I'm going to make a lot of money. It's like, hey, somebody's going to put out our songs? It's like, what? So when they first gave us a record contract track, we had flushed it down this toilet in this hotel. Just threw it in the toilet, and we're laughing. And I signed the original contract in blood. Just, I didn't care. I just cut myself and just, wrote Jack in blood on it. And
you're kids at this point, right?
Yeah, I think our drummer was only in junior high school. He wasn't even old enough to sign a record contract.
And how old were you? Like 17?
17 or 18, yeah.
So that's what kids do,
yeah, yeah. What are you going to do? Come on. Chicks,
yeah, exactly.
Right, nobody cares. And it's funny because I've had people ask me, like, they'll say, why'd you even get into this? Why'd you do it? Like, they want me to have some big political or socio-economical reason why I'm playing punk rock. It's like, dude, to rape and pillage. I'm a kid.
Exactly.
I'm an 18-year-old kid. What do you want? I want a chick and some booze.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and I want to serve. That's all I want. That's why I do this.
Now, with the Posh Boy 5-song EP, did you know from the start that you guys were producing something monumental?
Not at all. It was recorded, the vocals were done in a bathroom. We did it in an afternoon. We did all those songs in an afternoon in a little teeny studio. Like there's a part in it where you can hear a motorcycle go by in the background, and they recorded the vocals in the bathroom. There's a mop and a bucket. It's like, hey, we're making a record. I had no idea that it would still be selling after 20-something years, still in the stores.
Well, good music lasts forever. Dance With Me LP, what is the lasting impression that you feel this album has on fans today?
Well, it's a great record. I mean, it's practically everybody has that record. You always run into people, it's like, well, I have the Dance With Me. It's like the Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven or something. I mean, and it was the same thing. We recorded that record in 2 days. That was it. We spent 16 hours recording that record. That was all. 8 hours to record it, and then the next day I came in, I sang it, and they mixed it, and that was it. It was done. It cost us $1,200.
Now, what was a typical day like in the studio? Did you get up like real late in the afternoon, or were you there first thing?
No, it was early. It was early. Because we've never like pulled, at least in the band I was in, we never like pulled a trip like, well, we don't come out till this time. It's like we just did, when they told us to go there, we went.
Wow.
Like they said, hey, be here at 10 in the morning, and we showed up and we did the record all day, and then...
Healthy anarchy.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It sounds good.
Well, because we were stoked. It's like, hey, we're going to make a record. That's fun.
Whether it's Statues EP, what were your influences while making this?
Well, I think we were experimenting, always with the T.S.O.L thing, like in punk rock. Like what we were taught is you experiment. That's it. You don't try to sound like you can steal from people. Like we stole from the Damned, we stole all sorts of stuff from people. Stole from Susie and the Banshees, Adam and the Ants. We ripped off everybody we could, and then made it into our own thing. And we were taught you experiment, you keep expanding. You don't do the same song over and over again. That's why every T.S.O.L record sounds different than the one before it, because we kept experimenting. And Weathered Statues was a real experimental little deal. It was kind of we were on our way to doing something else. But I had fun doing it.
Now, Beneath the Shadows, do you think this album set the tone or raised the bar for music at the time?
It was hated. When it first came out, it was hated. People were upset. It's like, what are they doing? These, with the keyboards and the synthesizers and the blah, blah, blah. What are they doing? But I think now people look back and go, God, what a bold record, man. That was really bold. It was an innocent, bold move for us to do that. And at the time, some people really respected us for doing it, and a lot of people hated us for doing it. It was like kicking out Pete Best or something. What I mean? It's like, what are they doing?
What are some highlights from that Beneath the Shadows period for you?
Well, I think just doing, like most of the records, like a lot of that, like there were no lyrics written for Beneath the Shadows until I got in the studio. So it was just kind of fun. It's like we're experimenting. We're just trying to see what's going on. A lot of the stuff, like even on the Weathered Statues record, Man and Machine, that song, I wrote the words in the studio, and then the first time I actually sang that song, it had never been sung before, never been practiced, never anything. I just had the words right in front of me, and they turned the song on, and I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do this, and just started going. And so the actual laughs on that song are me laughing because it's funny, like, hey, I'm trying to do this. And at the end of the take, the guy said, we're keeping it. We're keeping it. So it was one take, first time ever, and that's what it was. It was just, hey.
So are you a staunch believer that punk rock is really about the moment?
Right. No, I'm so anti-practice, it's not even funny. Like, we don't even, people are shocked because we don't practice now. It's like, maybe once or twice before a show. But even like this last record, none of the songs had ever been sang before we got in the studio. It's just, you just try to do it. And I did some solo stuff on my own, this Gentleman Jack stuff, and the band had never even heard the songs before we went in the studio. Never. Like a couple of members of the band had heard one or two songs, but the majority of the guys in the band had never heard the songs. And we just sat down, we've got a piano in the studio, and we just sat down at the piano and everyone crowded around and said, it goes like this, give it this kind of feel. And then we just went in the studio and we just did it once to say, okay, that feels good. And then the next time we kept it. So just spontaneous is the best, I think.
Is there anything about the Cuckoo's Nest most people don't know about?
It was a dump.
It was a dump.
It's a crappy club. But it was a lot of fun, man. I mean, come on, you're a kid. I mean, the whole thing about it's just like going nuts. You get drunk, you got your friends there, you know what I mean? You're dating, the whole deal. And, you got the cowboy trouble next door, and they're going. It was exciting. It was fun, it's exciting. And I think the one thing I miss about back then is you didn't really have to worry so much about somebody getting shot. I mean, maybe stabbed, but not even that much. Like
or
most
run
of the
over.
fights, we're hit by a car or something, but whatever, that's okay. But I'm saying most of the fights were fist fights. Like a lot of, you just have a fist fight and then everyone's drinking, and it was kind of good, healthy hooliganism.
Okay, so Tender Fury.
Right.
Tell me about that.
And then we're missing Cathedral Tears. That came right after T.S.O.L.
Okay, I always forget about that.
That's all right. Well, the end of the T.S.O.L. thing, I just wanted to get away as far as possible. Just, so I started dressing like a chick, wearing tube tops, playing the kind of lounge band. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. And that's what I wanted. I wanted everyone to leave me alone. And then after that, Tender Fury just started as a drunken band. Like, let's get drunk and play this, make a band. But then I ended up stopping drinking at the end of Tender Fury. And the last Tender Fury record is one of my favorite records. It's called If Anger Were Soul, I'd Be James Brown. And I had stopped drinking. I started getting on a right path again to like really caring about playing music and not letting other people tell me what to do. Because a lot of times in Tender Fury, I let other people say musically what I should be doing, and I didn't really agree with it, and I went with it. And so the last Tender Fury record I love. It's one of my favorites.
Is it still available?
Yeah, it's hard to find, but it's still available. And it was like a lot of the pop punk stuff that later on started to come out of that. If you listen to this Tender Fury record, it was way earlier. I mean, what we were doing was really cool. And I know, I love that record. And then the Joykiller started after that. And
you got to deal with Epitaph for that.
Yeah, those three.
Did you tour a lot with Joykiller?
Yeah, we did a lot. We did the U.S., we did Europe, we did a lot of tours. We toured and toured and toured.
How was that experience? How did that experience differ from touring with T.S.O.L?
Well, because the difference about touring with T.S.O.L is back then there weren't that many bands touring. There weren't that many punk bands touring. Like you had DOA, you had the Black Flag, you know, the Circle Jerk. You know, you had some of these bands that would actually go and tour, but there was a lot that didn't. And there were big spaces where no one would show up. I mean, because there just wasn't punk rock in those states. Like you'd go through states and there's nobody. Or there's one punk rock guy that you'd see at the 7-Eleven or the Denny's. He was the chef or whoever. I mean, it wasn't like it is now. So the shows were sporadic and kind of a little weird back then. And then with the Joykiller, you know, the punk thing had blown up all over the place. So, you know, bigger shows, and it was fun.
The Blairing Out Show.